today's episode of BossWoman, our guest joined us to share his views on business, family, entrepreneurs, and also how to perform at your peak, your best. Now, I have only met our guest twice, and I was so blown away by the 20 minutes conversation I had with him. I had to invite him on to join us at the BossWoman. Good morning, Bayo Igoh. I'm so pleased that you could make it.
Well, thank you. Pleasure and a privilege to be invited on BossWoman's podcast. Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's made me nervous now. I've so got to be on point. So let's dive straight in. You're a business coach. You're an author. A father of 3. Entrepreneur. Recently come off stage at TED Talks PCL.
Yep. And
you're known throughout the business community in South London. Like, everybody knows you. If I mention, I only have to say Bayo, and they're like, yeah, we saw him last week. You're everywhere. And you teach.
Yeah, lecturer and tutor.
And tutor as well. How do you plan all these things and do them to peak performance? I have to say, you are above and beyond. Your bio that you sent me was outstanding. I had pages. How do you manage all of this?
It's funny you say that, because I shared this morning with some of my clients, past and present, something around time management. So it is about time management, but it's what I want to do.
Right.
It's what I like doing. The success of it is always going to be measured by me.
Okay.
So my previous life, when I say my previous, I worked in social housing for many, many years, and I loved every bit of it. But there came a point when it wasn't going to be for me, for whatever reason. And I might share those reasons if you ask the questions. But for what I'm doing now, it's around how I've always managed to juggle things. And it's not even juggling, it's project managing. And it's not even project managing, it's just knowing where I need to be. So take today, for example, as you know, school run, then a 10 o'clock Zoom call with my back office team, my sort of executive assistant, my people do my designs, etc. Do that for an hour. And then I did that at the library up the road, the Bromley Library, knowing it would take me 13 minutes to walk to here. So that was done and dusted. But I had time to nip into the Lidl to get my favourite apple turnover.
There you go.
And then walk my way here. So it's all about just knowing what you're going to do. And you know, I was up this morning, my normal routine. First thing I do is few stretches, few exercises, go downstairs, pull out the phone, check the diary, and as you know, check the diary for, where am I actually going today?
Yeah, Cheryl hasn't sent me the address.
Yes, that's come on, Cheryl, sort it out, where's the address? But it's all there, and it's not just all there for this today, it's there for the week, it's there for the month, it's there for the quarter, it's there for the year, and I colour coordinate it. But there's still work to be done. Work in progress, need to be improved, because there are things that I do and have been doing that I no longer do because it was taking up too much of my time. So my sons are 11, 9 and 9, and they require this. My partner, busy working as well, and I was doing a lot of stuff that was good for me emotionally, in what I believed in, my vision, my values, but they won't pay me anything. And I've got to be honest, if you're going to be an entrepreneur and a business person, you need to get paid. The 15th of the month has long since gone for me 5 years ago. So that's why focus is the best way to describe how I get about do what I do.
But to be, I mean, I know a lot of the, I don't want to keep throwing around billionaires, but they have that drive and that focus that I saw in you. And as I said, after meeting you for 20 minutes, and I could see that you were so meticulous, even when you asked me questions. You'd done your research, but you were only talking to me for 20 minutes. So having that drive and that, I don't want to call it perfectionism, but having that drive and that focus, where did that come from? Does that come from your family background? Does that come from how you were brought up? Does it come from schooling?
All the above. So let's talk about family background. Parents Nigerian, came over 64, 66, something like that, and had me as the firstborn of my 2 sisters. And we're Nigerians. and whatever you've read, whatever you've seen, whatever you watched, it's true.
Story.
And some. And what they instilled in us was discipline. We had a disciplined upbringing. You know, here's a very quick example. If you went to the cinema to see a film, Dad would expect it when he came home you had written it up, what you saw. What was the film about? So he could then say, it's a good film. I might go and watch it, I might not. But you had to write up the film. Yeah. And how did we do that? He taught us how to write cursively from 3, 4, 5. He taught us how to type 6, 7, 8. So all that was there. We knew how to eat, bathe, cook, probably before I was 5, 6 or 7. And in that time, dare I say, we were home alone a lot, you know, because they were out 3, 4 jobs a day and left us to our own devices, knowing full well our own devices were, remember back in the day, you only 2 channels, BBC and ITV. So it was books, it was reading, it was books, it was playing, it was understanding what we was about. And in my, me personally, particularly, and it might come to this a bit later, between about 10 and 16, I kind of lived on my own. My parents decided to go back to Nigeria, and I said, well, not for me really. And I came back to London, I went to school. I lived in my family house, which my mother still lives in now. We bought that in 1972. She's still there now. But when I was growing up, I lived in that home. I had my own bedroom, front room, shared kitchen, shared bathroom, with other people who lived in the house who looked over me. So people were like, whoa, that couldn't be happening. But there's home aloners all over the shop. I was a big boy physically, and I was well brought up. And so that discipline, that looking after yourself, looking apart, and that's important, as you can see. Looking apart is key to Nigerians, mainly. And it's not, well, for some it is showing off, but for us it's about, my dad used to say, they say never judge a book by its cover. Don't believe them.
Always judge it by the cover. It's true.
They do. First instance, they all do. So true. Look the part, and once they get beneath that, be the part. That's what he said.
I like
look
that.
the part, and once they get beneath that, be the part. So that's where the discipline comes from. That fear as well. There's a lot of fear in our household growing up, from my mum, from my dad. But that also made us think about what we wanted in life. My dad, education. Long before Cameron was saying that, he was saying, look, you guys are going to do well at school, you're going to go to university, you're going to go on, because we didn't do it. And it's all about legacy.
Yes.
He died, unfortunately, in 2003. But what he always said to us growing up was, it's legacy. We've had our fun. Now it's your turn. And when you're close to dying, it's whoever you bring after you. It's legacy.
And you have to pass on that baton. It's true.
So you asked about school. My school's a brilliant school, Salesian College in Battersea. The Order of St Don Bosco, 60% of the teaching staff were priests. So you can think about that. In London, a school with priests running around, head of discipline, head of year, geography, French, German, DT, PE, cricket. Most of them were priests. Headmaster, deputy head, and they were black cossets, bowling around. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You know that.
I'm scared already and I wasn't even there.
Yeah, so it was a proper good school, and again, therein was discipline. Again, therein was attention to detail. Therein was what you want to do in life, how you're going to get on in life, boom, boom, boom. So all those things played a part. And then my work, primarily in the social housing world, as a housing officer, team leader, all of those different jobs. And when I say so, you know, managing estates, working with people. And as one of my lecturers said, it was the poverty industry. And I took affront to that because it's where I grew up, how my mates grew up. But he said, no, what I mean is you're dealing with a lot of people that a lot of people don't deal with. So as my SAS says, they might not judge you, but they do. And when they find out who you are, you need to be the part. So that part of me being as honest and as open as I could be was crucial. And also, born and bred in Brixton, back in the day, come on. SPG, Gavers picking you up left, right and centre, having rows here, there and everywhere. I love football, still do. Most of my friends went up for it because you were surrounded by geezers who didn't like you, primarily. Yeah. But I loved it, so I had to front it.
I'm still going back to your father and the role that he played, because my parents pretty Caribbean, firstborn, pretty much the same thing, very much into the education, looked apart, make sure that you're dressed, doesn't matter where you go. I remember going to the airport with the little
as you started that sentence,
Oh my gosh!
Going on a plane to Nigeria, Christmas, summer, Easter, 3-piece suit, white shirt and a tie. At whatever age, from 5 all the way up until 16, it was just like it always. And even going to church, and I think about it because I still go to church now, Sunday mass at school, and I look at the way people dress, and I think, oh my God, couldn't have got away with that back in the day. Tracksuits, trainers. My best friends will tell you, Bayo didn't wear trainers for donkeys. Now I wear trainers because, in a way, it was a spite at my dad. Because my dad, what are you doing? Go and put on your shoes, my friend. So, I now love trainers. But it's that discipline. It's that.
It is. And, within business, I notice it as well. I'm in beauty, fashion, and it has changed so much. And, I'm in all the stores and I still go around exactly as you said. I'm going in, I'm dressed, I have on my shoes, I go in all the stores. I mean, even down to Harrods, they've all got trainers on. Yeah. I'm in shock. So, your goals, your parents wanted you to do the education thing. Did you go down the path they wanted you to go down, or did you do your own thing?
I did their thing. To the degree, my dad wanted me to be a doctor. That wasn't going to happen. Didn't like blood, but he made me is not the right word because he wasn't around. But I chose chemistry, biology, and maths and physics because that's what he wanted me to do. I got a B, a C, and 2 U's, so I failed, and that was like cataclysmic. Then I said to him, "Look, mate, come on." Obviously, I didn't use that language, but back in the day, I am kind of good at gift of the gab, and I love debate, I love argument. And I love law. Why don't I become a lawyer, Dad? Okay, that's okay. Accountant, lawyer, doctor. That's a good one. And then I started practice law. I studied law, but I didn't get to practice law because I just didn't make the cut. And then I fell into the world of housing. But yeah, education. I love a book. I think I was a SWAT. I went to a pretty good school, did pretty well my O-levels, did my A-levels again, did pretty well. As you can see from my bio, pretty well educated. But Brixton Library, Tate Library, that's where I went and passed all my exams, even up until my chartered and my current coaching accreditations. I'd always go upstairs to the Brixton Reference Library to do my swatting. And
do you think it makes a difference to the kids nowadays that the library's kind of second place and everything is go on YouTube, go on...
Education starts at home.
Yes.
The school's important, the library's important, but if you're, for my boys particularly, they're out, they got to go to library.
Yeah.
It's not as much as when I used to go, but they have books, loads of books. In fact, story last Thursday, there was an author in the school, she'd done some signing of books, bought a book, the schools gave them vouchers, we went to our local bookshop and they brought back books. They got books.
Yeah.
Not because of anything. The way my dad saw it is, we're too poor to get you to travel around the world. But if you read a book, watch a good TV programme, you can get a sense of what it's like around the world.
Yeah.
Because our journeys were London to Lagos, London to Lagos, London to Lagos.
Yeah, that was it. Until
EasyJet and them guys turned up. I said, Dad, I'm off to Ibiza or Iron Out, wherever it was I was going. And that's what broadens your horizon. But yeah, in terms of education and libraries and stuff, my sons, they know the school.
I think library was our local hangout. My dad, where are you going to the library?
I'm a big advocate of libraries. That's why the first black-led business forum that we did in Lewisham was done in partnership with the libraries. And we're doing a Women's Ambassadors event every quarter, again, using the libraries. The schools, I've been a school governor, again, trying to get us into libraries. If ever I had the money, and if ever the Brixton Tate or one of my libraries was to fall into wreck and ruin, I'd be the first one on it. If I haven't got the money, I'll get on my bike and do a sponsored ride or something. Because the libraries are there was a point when they were trying to close the libraries down, weren't they? They did one down in Southwark, Carnegie Way or Carnegie Library. They closed it, and it's still closed. It's not been used.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
It is a shame. I love my library. I'm always in there, and I just think it is quite sad that you know everyone's on their phone, and teachers will reference things on their phones.
It's hard.
It's a hard one, and just send them to the library. I remember hiding under the blankets with a battery torch, reading a book, and my dad had come up and stop reading now, but that's kind of gone and.
But what we need to do is embrace the change, but then manage it. So you talk about discipline.
Yes.
These things happen is how you manage it. Change is change. If you don't change, you're going to stand still and wither away and die. So with the change that happens, you need to embrace it and see how you can make it to your advantage. So libraries now aren't just books and books. There's records in there, CDs, there's consoles, there's reading rooms, there's quiet rooms, there's activity rooms, there's cafes in some, but so they will move with the times. But I still think it's that place for real engagement in culture and community and learning. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, totally. And do you think that your skill set, do you think your children have the same or similar skill set? Similar. Yeah. Similar.
So
is that more from you or from mum?
Both.
Right. Okay, that's nice.
I'm trying to work it out. So 3 boys. The eldest is driven, is competitive and believes. And where I grew up and they would sort of, you're too arrogant, you're too confident, you're too cocky, and not put you down, but just calm you down.
Bring it down, yeah.
I don't do that no more. I don't do that with my sons. If he thinks he's going to be, who's his favourite player? That's embarrassing.
No.
Mine's Maradona, but his is not. His is the Portuguese guys. Ronaldo. He will say, and I'll say, go for it, because if you don't let them dream,
yes,
then nothing's going to happen. But what he and his brothers need to learn is they need to take action to realise those dreams. So I won't say you will never. I will say, how will you do that? What are you going to need to do that? What's going to help you to do that?
That's good, because you're asking him to describe the path.
Yeah.
It's true, actually, because I remember my son asking me for, I think he wanted an Xbox or something, or whatever it was. And I said to him, right, how often are you going to use it? When are you going to use it? What are you using it for? I did the whole, so he knows now, if you want anything, you need to have the path as to where you're going with it, which is exactly... I'm going to ask this question. How long have you been married?
So before I answer that question, we've been together 21 years.
Well, how do you do that in this day and age? Everybody's getting divorced.
Right. Can I say this?
Yeah, go for it.
It's not all roses.
No.
There's difficulties, and it's 3 boys. It's a boys' household, kind of. But Magda is an amazing... She's your boss woman. She's boss lady.
Yes.
If you see anything on my socials, she's referred to as boss lady. And it's difficult. So... And I've got to be honest, it is very difficult to have that fire, because we met clubbing. So Shoreditch Herbal was the name of the club.
Gosh.
Herbal was the name of the club. And a very good friend of mine is a godfather to Kobe. We met, I was at his house, we went for dinner, we went for clubs, we went to bars, and she was there, and we went romancing for years and years, and we're still together now. But it's difficult, because the number of difficulties are you grow and in separate directions sometimes. The boys and family bring you together. There's a cultural difference. My partner's Polish, I'm Nigerian English. She's only been here 21 years. In fact, she came here the day after 9/11, so she couldn't speak English. I take the mick out of her. You came off of the boat.
Sorry.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But what she's achieved is unbelievable and amazing. But when you're 2 driven, ambitious individuals,
and you've got 3 boys that are driven in,
these things will happen. You know. But when it's good, it's amazing. When it's not great, we work at it. You've got to work at it, or other outsiders will come in to work at it. But a question you asked previous for that was, where do our sons get their traits from? So from both of us is that drive, that ambition. We're different. We were not totally accepted.
Yeah.
We're not fully accepted now.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to prove. 2 5-pound bags of McCain oven chips on our shoulders, without a shadow of a doubt. But equally, we're pretty smart, pretty intelligent, pretty nice people, and we dream and we love music. That is one thing.
That's because you pop up on my Instagram whenever I put a certain track on. I see you I think yes, soul band, soul reggae.
We love music.
We love we
love music.
That keeps a lot of people going. I've got photographs of my mum and dad. They used to go to Hammersmith Ballroom, do their little dance, and that's where I think there's a lot of strife going on at the moment. There's a lot of turmoil, and everybody's looking for something. And if we all go back to the music on a Sunday afternoon. Nice.
Mixcloud is my godsend at the moment. So Summer of Love 1987, I won't go into too much detail, but that's when it kicked off for me. But before then, when I was living in this house with all these other youngsters, their music, funk, soul, jazz, Fela Kuti, Afro,
Yes.
it's just like on me 24/7. And then when I went clubbing back in the day, then university, which I say as it is, exposed me to white man's music. So I got into everything from your Janis Joplins to your boom, boom, boom. And then today, I love funk, jazz, red groove, soul, and what I call funk hip hop. So that is what takes me going, and I always have headphones on.
Yeah,
Everywhere I go.
Yeah,
headphones.
we noticed as you was coming in.
I know. My missus, I have headphones in the kitchen. So I do, when I'm doing the dishes and washing up, I've got the headphones on, and it's a bit of an excuse as well not to hear, have you done this? Have you?
But at least you're doing the dishes.
Yeah.
That's, that we can go, that's another episode. But you mentioned earlier about people taking self-confidence for arrogance.
Me? Oh. I had a teacher, I won't name him, but I remember he's an English teacher. Or was it a guy who later told us this? There's a fine line between one's self-arrogance and confidence, something along those lines. And what they meant was, you got to remember, we were brash. We knew what we wanted back in the day. And some people couldn't handle it. Or they felt you don't deserve it. Who are you to think you're going to be X, Y, and Z? And for me, I did temper it down for 10 years. And I'll be honest, I think personally it's put me back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back on it. But I tempered that arrogance and that overconfidence because the world was telling me it's not right to be that way.
Okay.
So I calmed down a bit, and I think that held me back a bit. But now I see it as, forgive my French, bollocks to that.
Yeah.
I am who I am, and I'm going to go out and prove it. Because actually, if you don't, you're going to get crushed.
Yes.
Even more easier. So I give back to my 3 sons. Whatever it is you want to be, go for it. As long as you have a plan to go for it. But don't let anyone say you can't.
And I hope a lot of our listeners identify with that, because sometimes I know I'm good at makeup. Don't know how I got there. I started with fashion and I'm good at makeup. And I can identify exactly with what you said. We were kind of brought up like, hang on a minute, that's a little bit arrogant there. If you're in the class and you're putting your hands up, I know the answer. Nobody else studied. I know the answer. Why can I not deliver that? And I do think within the world at the moment, there is that thing of holding yourself back to allow others to shine when they haven't.
They don't like competition.
They don't like competition.
My son is... I won't go there. They don't like competition.
Go there.
And unfortunately, that's what's holding a lot of people back. You need to compete, but there's competition in the right way. You don't win and then give it a big and I'm the winner, you're rubbish, get out my face. You win, you learn from winning, and then you support others to become better.
Yes.
I use this in a lot of workshops and engagements that I have. The most successful people, and however you measure it, are successful because they bring equally successful or more successful people to work with them and drive them.
Yes.
Simples.
And do you believe that within the schools, because I remember when my son was in juniors, I think it was, they stopped doing sports day. Let's not, we're going to go there today, we're having a chat. They stopped doing sports day because they said it's too competitive and everybody wins. And I'm like, no, this child is training. Mum, I'm not eating that today because, I've got the race coming up. He was very much that child. And I was too. And a lot of that was pushed aside, oh no, let that person, when you're good at what you do. And that's what I picked up when I met you. I could see that you knew your coaching.
And that's another story to counter. But very quickly, competition. Yeah, it's difficult. This country has had a lost generation of potentially some of the greatest sports people that they could ever had. And I'm going to give you some stories. I'm not going to mention them. So back in the day, you'd have sports at Crystal Palace, sports at Herne Hill, sports wherever. You have these inter-competitions with schools. I did 100 metres, 110 hurdles, shot put. And if you just look at my records, or even forget my records, compared to some other geezers, their records would stand the test of time with anyone at their age. But what we didn't do was pull them through and take them on a journey of potentially being the success they would do. Yeah. So if you look around you, because my brain's a bit foggy, but the Linford Christies of this world, the Cyril Regis of this world, they're there are hundreds of them out there. hundreds of them, and not just black geezers, white geezers.
Yeah.
And women who could run fast, could throw fast, could jump, but they just didn't have the backing or the potential. Then when you get older, 18, 19, 20, and then you start to watch TV and you hear what's going on in America, you've got schools and colleges the size of universities over here supporting them to the nth degree. And then you wonder why we're not so great at what we are. We're getting a lot better, but even that lot better is for a small bit at
Percentage.
the top. I have goddaughters, godsons, friends who are taking their families out of this country to go and be supported in their chosen profession or sport outside because they're not doing it here.
Yeah.
And the example you start with schools coming. I was fortunate. We went to a school that made sure you were up for cricket, you're up for football, you're up for rugby, you're up for athletics, and you're up for being educated. They streamed us, but if I was to look at the bottom stream, I can think of 5 geezers who are in the bottom stream who are doing thank you very well, thank you very much. Not necessarily financially, but some are. Not necessarily because they are in the professions, some are. But they are doing thank you very well so much because the school enabled them to feel and be better than what they were told they were.
Yes, and it is that telling. I always remember I wanted to be a PE teacher because I did athletics, 3,000 metres, Crystal Palace. I did Middlesex Ladies. Hey, but I remember my teachers at Careers Day. You're going to be a nurse. I kept thinking, I don't want to be a nurse. Why have I got to be a nurse? And it is that putting people into categories, putting people into boxes. Yeah. You've got to do this to be that, but you can't aim. And I love that you said that your boys you've got to dream. And if you have the dream in your head, then you can go on further and do what you want to do. Why are we limiting? Yeah.
And I'm trying to move away from psychobabble with them because you can get a lot of psychobabble in the world of coaching. The bottom line is this, though. Why not?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
Why not? What if?
Yeah, definitely. And with going back to the career goals, at school, going back to school again, you're taught to go for the corporate position, aim for working for somebody. Do you think that your children or that generation and people that you coach are into that mindset rather than do your own thing, start your own business in the UK?
So let me answer it this way. I see a lot of people posting, I haven't got a degree, I haven't got an O-level, and I'm doing thank you very much. Fair play to you. Some of us have. Some of us want to have them because that's the way it is for some people. And fair play to them, by the way. And as a Nigerian who loved the qualification, fair play to me. The only difference is I couldn't put all the letters on the back of my name because my full name, you wouldn't get it on a piece of paper. But to answer your question, in today's world, the opportunities are more.
Right.
I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, but the opportunities are more if you allow the person to fulfill that opportunity and support them.
Right.
So my sons, crack on. Now, my son's 11, just think about secondary school, got to be to school. I probably would have never chosen the school that he's gone into back in the day because of my politics and because of my life and my finances. But opportunity knocked.
Got to take it.
Bang. The twin brothers, creative designers, they're probably going to want a more vocational aspect of their further education. They're talking about, we're going to do a degree to do our architecture, but I know equally they want to have it done in a physical way, not behind a desk with a lecturer giving it 24/7. They want to do a bit of both. So if we give that and create that opportunity, all good for us. But unfortunately, in the world we live in, it's not necessarily that way. And that's for a reason, but we're not going to get into politics today.
No, we're not. I could try really hard not to. I could talk to you for hours. So, you set up your own business. What is it called? And tell us what you do.
So, my company's called Big O Limited. The business that everyone knows is Big O Coaching. And you talk about careers. I didn't know I was going to be a coach ever. Don't think I knew about coaching until 2000. That was my first experience of being a coaching when I met my first coach. An amazing CEO of a housing association at that time said to his senior leadership team, great managers, I wanted you to become leaders, I want to get you coaches. And we all laughed and giggled. Oh, where are we going to play the tennis? Where are we going to play the football? Where are we going to play
That
the
kind of
rugby?
coaching.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, I trust you guys to say that. But when I had my first coach, and she's still a good mentor of mine today, was transformative. Because I was a micromanager. I was a bit of a headstrong, got to get the KPIs, no emotional intelligence, no idea of knowing who I was, let alone who anybody else was. And the coach helped me do that. Fast forward 30 odd years in housing, and this is probably the first time I want to say this publicly. After 3 redundancies, stroke confidentiality agreements, you start to ask yourself, do they really want you in this business, in this space? Excuse me, not how much higher you've climbed, how much you've done. I started in 1991 as an admin assistant. I left in 2016 as the head of housing for a local authority in the centre of London. And yet I hadn't become higher. I'd seen guys and people past me.
Yeah.
And as my dad said, so what? You know what? It's your fault. Don't blame the rest of the world for where you've not got to. You've just got to take your own action. So in 2015, 16, or probably 17, I just said, you know what, to my Mrs. Mags, 5 years on, we always do this every 5 years. Where are you at? Where am I at? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do next? And I said, I can't do this no more, working for the man. I want to see if I can do it myself. Set up a business. What do you know about setting up a business? I don't. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
And I did. But what I found out was I was going to try to be a coach or a mentor to people in the housing world.
Oh, okay.
But those 2 £5 bags of McCain oven chips and all those rejections said, no, I'm not touching them. And when I started to network, I started to realise, hold on, these business owners, they don't have a plan. They've got the idea, they've got the vision, they've got all the energy, but they're just doing. There's not a plan behind what they're doing. There's no execution of where they're going to go. There's no measurement. There's no check and balances, no accountability, no responsibility. And all the coaching that I've ever done and before then has just always said to me, where are you going? How are you going to get there? What are your goals? How are you shaping your goals? And I thought I could come in and help that space. And that's what I do today. So the term business coach, and I will say this publicly so people can understand, anyone could be coached by a coach if they want to be coached. Now, in a modern day, they say you're a business coach or a leadership coach or this coach or that coach. That's marketing.
Right.
And it exists. Fair play. But in essence, what we're trying to do as coaches is create a transformative space for you to actually take that dream into reality by helping you take action. And most things that help you take action is a plan. It doesn't have to be a detailed business plan, but you need to know what it is you're trying to do, how, where and what. And therefore the options that are available to you, the resources that are available, the timescale that's available, and then someone to check and challenge and hold you accountable and responsible. That's what a good coach can do for you.
And that's why, sorry to cut you there, and that's why my 20 minutes with you, I came out of that. I remember I spent 20 minutes, it was a free coaching session with the library, and I came out of after having 20 minutes with you and I was like, wow, that's what coaching is. Because normally it's, they want to go into your mindset and, have you got this plan? I was thinking, I've got a plan, I'm just good at what I do. I need you to help me to be able to plan and to execute what I need to have done.
Invariably, we shouldn't be telling you what to do.
Yes.
We should just be encouraging you, engaging with what you want to do and helping you to do it to the best of your ability.
So talk me through an initial consultation. How does that work for Bayo coaching?
I will use this buzzword. It's called a discovery call.
All right.
And what I try to do is work out what's been your journey, where have you been, why have you doing what you're doing, and then why have you set up your business? What's that about? Where's it going? What are you trying to do with it? And is it actually a business? Because it could be a side hustle. It could be a hobby. And people got to understand that those terms aren't negative terms, because a business is a really big different thing, and one of the things people don't understand about businesses is actually what you're going to do when you leave it. Because if you ain't got an idea of what you're going to do when you leave it, I'm not sure it's a business. And does it make you money? Right, anyway, so we have those conversations, and the conversations are really about whether you, the potential client, like me or understand me or want to work with me, you see. And that's improved over time, because I've not been great at sales previously. because it's about my own confidence, my own value center, etc., etc. Now that I love my space, I know my space, it's about whether you, the client, would want to work with me. And what we try to do is work out what you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, where you're doing it, what are your pain points, what are your challenges, and for me, what's the goal?
Yeah.
What's the dream? And therefore, what's the plan to get the dream? And how can I support you in delivering that dream over a period of time? And the best coaching sessions are not, unfortunately, 20 minutes. That's just that's just inspirational. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
It is over, because you can't create that change, that mindset, and especially with business coaching, because once you get all that mindset stuff done, you're in the right zone, you've got your vision, you've got your values, you believe in yourself, you're up for it. Then you've got to take on the technical aspects, running a P&L, creating profit, the marketing, the strategy, the all those things that a lot of people know you have to do. It is time consuming. It can be overwhelming. And what have you got in place to put those things moving forward? And so when we had that discovery session, we then work out, okay, what's the length of time we want to work together? And in the old days, I did, 3 sessions, 6 sessions, 12. No, that's not enough. You've got to think long term. And then what I realised after or during the COVID period is coaching can be very cerebral for people. It's very, I'm in the moment, I'm inspired, I'm loving it, I'm buzzing. You go out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you've done nothing. Or you've just done a bit. And I thought it wasn't their fault. Because what you do need when you get to the next level of running a business is the systems and processes that are required to make your business sustainable and thrivable and therefore profitable. So what people will do is just do things. So you ask me the question, why am I so organised?
Yeah.
Because I've got a system and process in place. I'm not just going to bowl up to your podcast because I feel like it. I want to know, what's the podcast going to do for me? How am I fitting it into my overall scheme of things? Where is it in my marketing? Where is it in my planning? Where does it fit? And some people just don't have that in their locker. So that's the type of discussions I have in the discovery call. And then you decide, okay, yeah, I want to work with you, Bayo. Let's go for it. Then we go for it.
And you go for it. Now, I was also at a business event, and if you are a South London business, you will see Bayo at is it Federation of Small Business, the Beckenham Business Association,
Chambers of Commerce,
everywhere, because you have, it seems to me as if you've tapped into an area that needs, in America, they're very much how you speak, how you just spoke about your business. That's how they are. That's how the coaches are. They take it a step further. Whereas here, we're very nice with our coaching, and it's like, you feel okay today. Well, you don't want to send me that report, then don't do it. Which isn't. It should be exactly what you said, and that's why if I'm going somewhere and you're on the guest panel, I think, yes, this is going to be good, because you deliver what us as small business people, we want to hear that. We want the direction. We want the processes. It's not airy-fairy, and we want someone that's going to go in there like Sergeant Major, which, not using that as a derogatory term, but that's how I came across when I came out from meeting you, and seeing you talk at a lot of the business plays. I just find that the audience are transfixed by your way of coaching.
Because I'm still making the same mistakes that these business owners are making. Or I've learned about what, my business is only 6 years old as a business. I ran business units. I ran half boroughs and boroughs. But in terms of running a business, it's not easy. As you've explained, wife, 3 kids, life, mum, sisters, all of that stuff. And then to run a business, it's not easy. Where are you networking? How often? So I networked like a nutter the first 2 years. What for? For people to take the mickey out of me, and they did. For people to use me, and they did. For me not to know whether me turning up at 6 o'clock in the morning and providing referrals left, right and centre was good for them but not for me. I learnt that. Yeah, and that's why I can share that experience in terms of what I talk about. I was at another thing called the East London Business Plan Place event yesterday, delivering a workshop. Talking to an individual who's care home manager, recruitment manager. He's got over 100 people in his agencies, and he came out and he said, I need to sign you up. I goes, why is that? He goes, I'm just doing stuff. Because you've got 100 people working for you. Yeah, but it's not what I want to do. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, I have a vision, and it's different to what I've done. It's just mushroom, because that can happen. Mm-hmm. Your business could just take you on a journey which you didn't want to go. You've employed people who have taken your vision in a different direction, and you're left at the top, but it's not what you want to do necessarily. Or a worst case scenario is you've gone into a business and it's way behind where you want it to be. And so you have to think about what systems and processes, checks and balances that you can put in place.
Wow. So I was excited to see you at TEDx PCL. And I know you sent me the footage and things to look at, and I thought, no, I'm going to let you explain. So tell me, how did they find you, and how was it? I saw you documenting, and everybody, you must go on his Instagram. I saw you documenting the hall and everything. I was nervous. So how was that day?
So let's rewind. Again, networking, Westminster Business Council. I won't mention names, but you're networking, you're there. And then one individual looked at my bio and said, do a lot of work in the community. Can we talk about community stuff? We talked about community stuff. She was interested in the judicial system, the police system, which I've been involved in on both sides of the fence. But I have some family members and friends in that. Cut to the chase. She made a referral. Then she said, look at the bio, you did a bit of lecturing back in the day. I said, yeah, a long time ago, after Middlesex, the unis I went to. Would you like to be interested in doing that now? One of my dreams is to have a dicky bow tie before I was 55 on a lantern. And she said, I'll sort it out. Pearson's Business School is where I'm currently a lecturer and a tutor. While I was talking to the various people there, they picked up on my story and said, can we talk to you about possibly doing a talk for us? I was happy to do a talk. And then it transferred to be a TEDx talk, PCL. And I said, TEDx? And I'll be honest with you, I've only watched 2 TEDx's in my whole life.
Oh, I'm obsessed.
Another thing about my character is I don't like watching things.
Other people, yeah.
No, I do watch liking other people, but not people telling you what to do.
Right, okay.
Find that difficult. Anyway, TEDx talk, PCL, unbelievable. So there's a whole process. What you're talking about, script, revisions of the script, then a video, revisions of the video, and then you present, and then you make the cut or you don't make the cut. And then you got to practice and all that stuff. And then on the day. Now for me, it was held in South London, my manor where I grew up. It was held in a place in Waterloo called Leek Street. And if anyone knows that part of the world, it's graffiti all over the place. And if anyone knows that world and knows me, it's where I used to party hard in the 80s and in the 90s. So it was home from home. And so, but on the day, it was nerve-wracking. There was 5 other amazing people, proper. And my talk is about my growing up, as I've said, on my own, and the power of role models that played a significant part in my life, because mum and dad weren't there 24/7. So I looked up at people who had who inspired me, who led me, some rightly, some wrongly, but that's part and parcel of growing up. And that was my story about the essence of is we often think we choose role models, but in actual fact, role models choose us. What I mean by that is they see Cheryl and say, there's something about Cheryl. I'm like, okay, let me help guide, support and nurture her in a way that will help her hopefully lead to some of her dreams and ambitions. Some come up to you and do the same things, but for negative reasons. You, the individual, decide whether that was good or bad. So you can have formal role model relationships. Right. But actually, in essence, people are there peppering your life as a role model. That was the essence of my story. So it was an amazing event in Waterloo, nerve-wracking, get over the nerves, deliver. I had family in the audience. I had a lot of people from PBS and lots of other people. There were 6 of us, and the other 5 or 3 of them were just top proper professionals. They knew their stuff, really good. And what was great about it is you learned stuff. One talked about environmentalism. One talked 2 that I really resonated was one young lady. She came from a housing estate, then went to Oxbridge and became a top lawyer, and is now CEO of a charitable organisation that looks works with young people who come from disadvantaged families that want to aspire to become good and great like she is, yeah? The other guy that I really resonated with was a careers coach. And he talked about his own journey, and unbelievable journey, you know, just real hard work, endeavour, but equally putting himself out there, a head above the parapet, to believe in what he can do and how he can do it, and the rest, as they say, is history. The other two speakers were a bit more deeper, more scientific, and you get away learning, wow, does that really happen in this world? My giddy Aunt George, I'll have some of that. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, it just looked phenomenal. And I saw in the morning, and I kept thinking, should I send him a message? No. And then I remember I did send you a message because it was out. I just was so pleased for you. Outstanding.
Yeah, and it's not arrogant. It was just an invite to get on board. I didn't know till the last minute. This is TEDx, and you got to remember that TEDx is a brand, and so different people franchise it and use it accordingly. But this platform was for how to engage, inspire, empower young people through the various stories from that platform, and pleasure and a privilege to have been involved.
Yeah.
And for me, cathartic, because the stories I'm telling now, I've only been telling the last 2 years properly, publicly, about how I grew up. Because you talk about boxes. Between 10 and 16, 17, I was on my Jack Jones.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I'm unpacking at the moment. And so that was a good opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
As is today, by the way, Cheryl.
I'm intently listening. I'm forgetting myself. So you're not prepared to rest on your laurels. And you also volunteer at Federation of Small Business, right? With over 5.5 million and over 3.2 million people that are in the business sphere in the UK, 3.2 million of them are sole traders. And existing members like yourself go in and you provide a key role. And I've only just joined.
About time too.
Rachel got me.
Fair play, Rachel.
I've only just joined, and you deliver entrepreneurial business development. Can you talk us a little bit through the Federation of Small Business and what your role is?
So it's a membership organisation, and you've got to remember that what that means is it enables members such as ourselves to take part in, first and foremost, go to the website. It is a treasure trove of information, ideas, fact sheets, templates, from legal understanding to insurance to everything in between. So it's a trove of involvement. And FSB also works as a lobbying group, so it will talk to the senior people in Parliament and across the board on our behalf about business interests. So ULIS is what's the expression that they use? I can't remember. They don't like you, let's put it that way, and nor do we.
No, neither do I. Let's not go there.
And hobby, and they are really pushing how, why, what for. Here's the data, here's the stats. Can we do it differently? So that's one of them. Amongst other things, the real hot results for FSB and for me in Lewisham particularly was during COVID. Yeah?
Right.
So I joined, as you do as a business owner. I've done my desktop research. Who's going to support me as a business? Because I don't know what's going to go on necessarily. FSB, Chambers of Commerce, etc., etc. I'm in Lewisham, as you know, you're in Bromley, and I'll name him, the great Chandra Sharma was running FSB in Bromley, and I said, hey mate, how come you've got 30, 40, 50 turning up to these meetings, cracking on, and I go, Lewisham, there's nothing happening. He goes, well, you've got to sort out your own networking event, Bayo, blah, blah, blah. So we did. Me, Rachel, and Sarah King went up to Lewisham Council and said, look, this is happening. You've got 85,000 people, potential businesses on your doorstep. Lewisham, Greenwich, Bromley, blah, blah, blah. And yet we've not had enough there. Fast forward, 4 years on, we've been meeting every month, 30, 40 different businesses, networking, in person, online, more special events, workshops, curating this, curating that. Working in partnership with local authorities. We've done the first Black-led business forum with Lewisham back in February. On the 8th of March, we're doing a women's-led business forum ambassadors where FSB is supporting. So what FSB is trying to do is support the businesses on the ground through networking, workshop participation, webinars, the online access, lobbying of Parliament, etc., etc., etc. But Any membership organisation is only as good as its members. And if the members don't ask, you don't get. Simple. That's another thing I used to say a lot. If you don't ask, you don't get. You can moan, you can groan.
Yeah, true.
But if you're not asking a question, you're unlikely to get. So I take an active role as a volunteer because I really feel passionately that we could do more. Having said all the above, the next phase of my membership is going to be heavy because I'm going to start having a dig at FSB about being a bit more active on the ground in a nicest possible way, so that businesses can really take part. Because what some businesses are afraid of, difficult times. I started up my business because I was made redundant, kicked out my job. Most people do the same thing, but most people don't have that initial support and understanding of the journey to come. It is a difficult journey. Yeah. It can be a well worth journey, but it is a difficult journey. If you haven't got your ducks in order, an idea of where you're going, and some support, you will find it tough. If it wasn't for my boss lady, my missus indoors, and my drive, mate, I've made some big mistakes. Big mistakes.
Yeah, I think people tend to think, like, putting myself there, is that you have to have your ducks in order before you go to a coach. Because we think, I don't want to see that. I haven't done this, and I haven't got that legislation, I haven't got that document, and I'm not really good at collecting my, receipts and everything. So I think people think the coaching and the supporting a small business, you've got to have certain things in place before you go for help.
Yeah. Help ASAP. And you know what? You have unconsciously corrected me, because it's not even you can't have your ducks in order. Your ducks are never in order until the end.
Right.
What you want to have are some ducks to be put in order.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. And a coach can help do that. The local libraries can help do that. FSB, Chambers of Commerce, your own network can help do that. But they're not going to do that if they don't know you want it to be done.
Yes, true. It's true. We're all in our houses creating and doing and putting makeup on people. Which is great. But we need to get out there.
And then when you do get out there, it can be scary. You can be put off. And let's be honest, I don't reel out the facts. It is very difficult for people of colour, for women, for people of various minorities, to be given the leg up to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Very difficult, and so therefore often off-putting.
Yes.
But if you ask for help, it is there. But what I'm trying to say to FSB and others is, shout from the rooftop a bit louder.
Yeah.
And the local authorities, come on, make it known more.
Make it known.
Not for a little club, not for just the Bayos of this world or the Cheryls of this world who are running around doing all this stuff. No, it is for the thousands of people who live in your boroughs, who've got ideas, who probably want to start business. Because one of the questions you asked is career or business. So when I started off in the first year or two, I thought, wow, why didn't they tell us at school we should set up businesses? Why ain't the government supporting businesses? Why aren't local authorities supporting businesses more? In my third and fourth year, it's, wow, this is tough, man. Gosh, I missed my 15th of the month pay packet. I ain't had that regularly.
I'm still doing this. Mine's still there. I'm down to 1 day.
You get me.
Still holding on to it.
You get me? But if we took advantage of that energy that is out there properly.
Yes. Sky's the limit. I hear you. So if you could give a small business, if I could say, what about those top 3 tips for a small business for confidence and to get themselves going? Top 3.
Believe. Plan. Execute.
I like that.
Yeah. Believe in what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it. Have that vision. Have that, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. Then plan it. Ask the questions. Do the research. Who's doing it? Who's not doing it? Who's doing it better than you? How can you do it better than them? Where can you get the support to do it? And then when you've got that plan, work out how you're going to execute it. The resources, the support, the options, the timeline, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Is it going to grow? Is it just going to be you and your Jack Jones? Is it going to be 5 of you? Is it going to be family? Are you going to have partnerships? Are you going to have collaborations? Got those started, then you'll be all right. But what happens is we do all those things and we're just juggling.
Yeah.
And we're spinning the plates. If you can think about them now.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a day job and you're thinking of being made redundant or moving on, start doing that thinking now. It's no harm. And what I always say, this has been video recorded, is what I didn't do is I left my job with £5 bags of McLean oven shut. I was angry, and I just went boom. But if I'd planned, I had the belief. But if I had planned, then my execution of my planning would have put me ahead of the curve where I am now. Don't get me wrong, I'm in an all right space, but I'd be in a better space if I had a plan.
Okay. I hope you're all writing that down. Sorry to cut you. I hope all my listeners are writing this down, because...
And you can have that plan while you're working a 9 to 5. You can have that plan. And that's another story.